Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the Washington Avenue branch of the Albany Public Library. My name is Andrea Nicolai, and I'm the Executive Director of Albany Public Library. And we are so excited to welcome the Adirondack Experience to APL tonight, specifically Charles Clark III and Adam Stewart, who are here to talk about Brother Yusuf Burgess. Am I pronouncing his last name correctly? All right. I never had the pleasure of meeting Brother Yusuf, but I have read about him, and I know that he had a tremendous and profound effect on this community and many others in this region. In fact, a woman who is at a program next door just stopped in and said, "I knew that man. That was a good man." She had been to the Adirondacks with some of his camping programs. I tried to steal her away from the program next door, but she couldn't get away. But that's just, I mean, that's just happenstance, just one tiny example. We're really looking forward to learning more about Brother Yusuf tonight, and I welcome you all. And I'm going to hand things over to Rebecca Lubin now. She's our head of community engagement. She's going to tell you a little bit more about our speakers. And I want to thank you again for being here tonight. And I look forward to learning alongside with you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to the 6th annual collaboration between the Albany Public Library and the Adirondack Experience, and this year's Adirondack Moments Zoom series. I'm Rebecca Lubin. As Andrea said, I am a librarian here at Albany Public Library and also the head of community engagement. We are thrilled to be coming to you in person and on Zoom from the Albany Public Library. The Albany Public Library is situated on the land of the Mohawk Haudenosaunee, I don't know if I said that right, Stockbridge Munsee Band of Mohawks. Indigenous peoples continue to live in this region and practice their teachings and lifeways. We look forward to sharing with you noteworthy stories from the Adirondacks and the instrumental people who have left enduring marks on the region over the next few months. Tonight, it is my pleasure to introduce Charles Clark III, project curator for the Adirondack Experience, Black Experience in the Adirondacks Expedition. This groundbreaking permanent exhibition will open in July 2027. Charles has been in the museum has been with the museum since February 2025. Prior to his tenure here, he has worked at the Field Museum and the Kaveh Gupta Gallery in Chicago, Fenimore Art Museum, and historic Hampton House in Miami. Charles received his bachelor's degree in American Studies and Sociology from Kenyon College in Ohio, and graduate degrees from the Art Institute of Chicago, Modern and Contemporary Art History, and in Museum Studies from the Cooperstown Graduate Program, SUNY Oneonta. Throughout the evening, you are joining us via Zoom. Please feel free to send any questions through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Charles and Adam will take questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me? Mm-hmm. Wonderful. I don't know if people on Zoom can hear me, but it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I have the distinct pleasure of actually speaking to this guy here on my left, Adam Stewart, and I just want to read his bio before we get into the flow of tonight's events. So Adam Stewart is an educator, youth mentor, and outdoorsman whose work bridges classroom learning, community engagement, and environmental stewardship. Adam lived in Albany until 2020, during which he served in several youth and community-focused roles. He worked for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation as an assistant director with Bruce, and later as a coordinator for New York State Department of Environmental Conservation's Campership Diversity Program. He also supported youth at Equinox House and taught science and math at John Stewart Arts. In 2020, Adam relocated to Syracuse where he earned his master's degree in special education from NYU. He now teaches in a fourth grade co-teaching classroom, specializing in inclusive education. Since 2015, Adam has served as a board member for John Brown Lives, a human rights and environmental justice organization committed to storytelling, outdoor education, and community liberation. His passion for the outdoors informed both his professional work and personal life, as he is a hiker, camper, and advocate for connecting youth, especially those from underserved communities, to nature. Thank you all. Thank you, Adam, for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, as we get started, I know I've read your bio, but can you talk a little bit about how we got you involved with this exhibition, just so that everybody else can be aware?
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for you all coming. It's a pleasure to see a lot of your faces, especially because I haven't seen them in a long time. So how I got, involved with this was a couple months ago. I got a couple of emails, and I'm very notorious for not checking my email. But something popped up, and it was just like a weird little icon. And then I checked it, and it was from you, just talking about what you need from me. And what you need from me was trying to figure out whether or not we can, get something on the books for talking about Brother Yusuf. And I was like, of course, yes, let's do it, because Brother Yusuf was a very important person in my life. And as everyone knows, he was a very important person in Albany. And I feel like being able to share a little bit more of his word each and every day keeps him alive in everyone's hearts. So when you said ready, let's go, I was like, let's just jump on this bandwagon and talk about it, because I think that we all being here and being able to be touched by Brother Yusuf in a way that allows us to open our hearts for the youth and our community, it will take us far, rebuilding that village, definitely. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. So before this, I asked you to shoot some photos, and there might be some. Let's see what we have.
And I do want to
There
add
we
this
go.
too. So the title of this program is Edventures with Brother Yusuf. And the reason why I chose that title is because Brother Yusuf always had these weird, corny phrases, like environmental or adventures and stuff like that. And we didn't really, like, when I was younger, I didn't really like understand them, because it was like this guy saying this stuff to me, and I'm like, yeah, okay, bro, and then when I got older and he started putting us in positions where we needed to be leaders for younger children, that's when those words started to make a more of an impact, right? So as opposed to having an adventure, just that action word, it's something that's very much educational. So any type of camping trip or trip that we went on to do something, like is either going to John Brown Farm, and that was just like, kind of conversing and talking with a lot of the patrons there and whatnot, or going to the Adirondacks and whatnot. All of it was a lesson, and he wanted to talk to us and make sure that we understand the lesson within that experience. So yeah.
Before we go to the photo, which is adorable, I'm curious because adventure with the ED and the hyphen really does strike me as being in the same sort of vernacular as KRS-One's coining of edutainment. I don't know if those two are related, but that's a thought that you might want to hold.
Yeah.
I don't know how well versed Brother Yusuf was in hip hop, but
He was well versed.
You all probably know him way better than I do.
Yeah.
But that sort of vernacular is echoed in like the earlier forms of hip hop through artists like KRS-One.
Yeah, I mean, all I remember from not all, I mean I remember a lot of stuff, but what I remember from him introducing that was, working in Tivoli, going to New York City, doing a lot of like guerrilla gardening and whatnot. He always was just yapping, like he was just chatting about something. And like, you never really sit down to be like, okay, you catch every third word and you're talking and you're doing everything and you're laughing and joking and stuff like that. But when now me being in the position I am now, I realize that a lot of those words stick because of the actions in which I've taken to like put myself in like really good positions to make sure that I am working with the community, which makes sure I am like, reconnecting with the youth and stuff like that. So adventure, very interesting term.
So as I direct your attention to one of these images that you chose for us tonight, I'd love to hear more about how some of these values that you just articulated uh, began to take root in some of these earlier adventures that you all went to. Is there anything in particular you can talk about?
Oh yeah. So this picture is at the summer camp. Something that I like to do, I guess, in my life is to go back in full cycle. So this is the first summer camp that I was privy to go to with Brother Yusuf, and also I attended as a child. But in this specific photo, we broke the record of planting the most trees as like a youth like staff, and I'm sitting under the DeBrew sign, which is really funny because when I went there as a child, I had a grand time, and I went back and as a camper, and then when I got old enough, I was able to go back as a volunteer, and then when I got old enough, I was able to go back as a staff member, and then finally I went back to be a director, and I went back to be able to help the DEC like gather more kids and kind of like keep that legacy going. And a lot of the people in here, there's one that's sitting in the audience today. He, full cycle. Um, we all, we're all on our paths. Like we're all doing what we need to do. Some of us stay in contact, some of us don't. But I know that the values that he instilled was, the discipline of the community, the village. Um, I know when I reach out to some of these people here, I can talk to them about anything. I can talk to them about what they're doing and how they're doing it, and we can kind of chop it up and stuff like that. Even though they have their own lives, they still are able to come back and say, this is the stuff that we've done, and I think that's the most important thing about what Brother Yusuf did, was just helping us create the village. Because in reality, I think that it's a little bit crazy. He was just this guy that had this dream, and he had a van, and we just went out to the woods and we just like played, and we just had so much fun. And our parents were like, yeah, do it. And and our parents, before we went out into the woods and stuff like that, we did a lot of the stuff in the community. So people saw us on Tenbrook Ave in the park, pitching up tents. We were casting fishing poles in that little park. We were practicing like how to build fires and all this other stuff just in the middle of this urban jungle. And then when we got out to the Adirondacks or the Catskills, it was just like, oh, that's easy. We can just get it done. We can do this. And we all learned how to like work together and stuff like that. So when we got older, and he put us on the workforce, that teamwork and that camaraderie and that love of being outdoors, just kind of transferred over to Tivoli, and that's when we started doing a lot of stuff at Tivoli and whatnot. So a lot of it was just, coming up through the reins and building that village and that value of like everyone has something to offer, and once you put that person on the spotlight and they give you something, then you take that and then you put that in your pocket and then you give them something, and then we keep on going until we build something great. So, so yeah, and then it's funny because I was just saying that I was just showing a couple of people the picture. So I took a picture, I guess in 2020, of me, like just me behind the side as well as an older person. So I do like cycles. I do appreciate the fact that I can go back and give back and show my face, um, the community what I have been doing and what they can do because representation matters. Representation matters.
And how old were you here?
Um, to be honest with you, I think this was when I was like, mom, 13,
13.
13.
Thank you, Mom, for the assist in the crowd. So, Brother Yusuf comes up to your group and you're 13, and he says, we're going to plant trees. What do you think?
So I guess what do I think? It was weird. We're driving 2 hours. Like this was from, we're driving 2 hours away from Albany, just to plant trees. It was a little weird at first because it was an all day thing. So, we get up really early in the morning. We get out there. There's a lot of people, and then we just start digging. We just start digging, 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 digging. We just start petting in trees and we're talking, we're cracking jokes, we're having fun. And by the time it's lunchtime, he sits down and puts us all in pretty much like a circle and stuff like that. And he's eating his Twizzlers and drinking his orange soda, what he always does. We're all having fun and doing what we're doing. And then we get back to work. We keep on getting done, keeping getting done, keeping getting done. And by the end, that's the picture that we took with all of the extra trees. And then, by the time like 6 o'clock comes around, we're all just knocked out in the van.
Oh, of course.
It was just a long, hard day's work of just planting trees. But it was just like weird. It's like, oh, okay, cool. This is an experience in which I had to be able to go do. And looking back, it was just fun. It was just like a odd little adventure, adventure.
Keep bringing that back. It strikes me because you're planting trees, you're 13 years old. This is really a lesson in patience. I'm curious if you could offer us all some reflection on what lesson with regards to patience you may have picked up or may have come back to you since the fact that you all have went and planted these trees, because ostensibly these trees are still there.
Yeah,
They're much bigger now.
Yeah, it still lines the DeBruce property. Yeah, there's some that line the DeBruce property. The lesson of patience. I think that I don't know how to say this in the most eloquent way, but it's about planting the seed, planting that thing and letting it grow and not messing with it and watching it for what it is, right? So I think that the lesson there is Brother Yusuf was always willing to plant some type of seed in a child to make sure that they grow into the plant that they were supposed to be. And whether that is me through education, whether that is me as a father, whether that is me as a whatever other identity at which I decide to go at, as long as I am the best version of that. And I think that was a lesson of just making sure that you wait, you allow it to germinate, and you bloom. And you stay there and you stay tall, you stay standing, whatever is really thrown at you. So I think that's the lesson, because education has been tough. Just going through a lot of just stuff within education, just from teachers into curriculum into all the other stuff. But still being able to advocate for the child, still being able to be there and talk to the parents and get your hands dirty, and say this is what I want to do for you with you. And that's what Brother Yusuf also was down to do. He was down to get dirty with all of us to show us that I'm not just telling you how to do it, I'm showing you how to do it as well, and leading you to what I think is the best path for happiness or peace or whatever. Yeah, brother. Yeah, sorry. Brother Yusuf was an interesting character, especially because a lot of this has stemmed from I don't know if a lot of people know the story, and I won't say too much because I mean it's his story to pretty much tell for the people who know, but um, he was a Vietnam War vet, and one of the, famous stories that he always says is when he came back and he had his PTSD, um, the therapist just prescribed him a kayak. And once that happened, he kind of changed a little bit of his personality to fit what the kayak nature and the kayak, the outdoors. And then he wanted to bring that to urban youth because he felt like a lot of the PTSD that he had in Vietnam, some kids in our urban communities also have. So he wanted to bring some of that peace to them as well.
Is there something about you being this story of Brother Yusuf, as you said, getting his hands dirty, planting, and as we'll go through some of these other images, those of you in the audience and on Zoom will see Brother Yusuf is everything that the children are doing, he's doing as well, and he's directing. Is that something you currently use in your professional life right now? And you said you're a father as well. So is that leading by example something that continues in your life and in your profession?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that like you teach who you are because what you know will always follow, right? So
I need you to say that again.
you teach who you are because what you know always follows.
Good.
Um, and I say that because who Brother Yusuf was that person to get his hands dirty. So if he wasn't going to get his hands dirty, he would have no credibility to be able to teach us where that would go. So a lot of us, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and a lot of them would say like they're more afraid of mosquitoes than they are of bullets. Like I've had like full on conversations with people saying that, and which is kind of disheartening, right? That's like it's a mosquito, but because it's such a foreign thing, a lot of people are not willing to just step out of that comfort zone. And he was willing to do that. And once he was willing to step out that comfort zone and people saw that, a lot of people followed. I remember there was a time when we were all camping and he stepped on a bee's nest and we all ran. Like he didn't know. It was just like an underground a beehive, and that was a crazy experience. But it was also one that the lesson in that was do not go off trail. um,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, he always was the one to get his hands dirty. He was always the one to show us because that's how we learned, as young boys. We needed that physical interaction. There was a lot of times in which he talked, and there was even more times which he did. So
We want to see what other photo you chose here. Okay, now are you all hiking? Is this the end of a hike? And is this a mountain that you all stand on top of? And you all are quite close to this ledge. I'm sorry, Mama, if this is your first time seeing this photo. Can you tell us what are we looking at in this image?
yeah, it's one of the many hikes in which we've gone on. Going through just the Adirondacks and the Catskills. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm not even pretty sure. I think that this is the Catskills. But because he really liked the Catskills, and yeah, we just hiked. Like that was one of his things. It was just getting to the top of the mountain. It always was. We don't like the hiking part. We like the end part.
Yeah.
The let's take the picture, and as you can see, we're all like, yeah, this is great, and this is so happy. We're all so
I
happy.
love you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even, I'm like what, 13 to 15 years old, and I have a hiking stick thinking that my legs don't work. But like, it was it was always a good experience. It was always like, hey, we're gonna do this weekend. Let's go. And he pulled up to our house, and we said bye to our parents, hopped in the van, and then by 8, 9 o'clock, we just got back home and we went to bed, and that was it.
So how early are you being made to wake up
Oh,
at this point? That's what I want to know.
I well, after probably like after school, on that Friday, there was always something on Saturdays, because he liked to do things on Saturdays. So I would try to fight with my mom to not wake up so early, but because also I have brothers and sisters too, so they were also a part of the program. So if it wasn't me waking them up or my mom waking them up, it was everyone else waking each other up just to get outside, because we've always just wanted to go and go outside. And then we always like would have to go to the store and get like those quarter bag of chips. That's
Yeah.
when the chips were a quarter. Run to the store and get
Good
the
old
juices,
days.
all the other stuff.
Uh-huh.
We had to get our snacks as Brother used to call them Zuzus and Zamzams.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were off. So we would probably be up by like 6, 7 o'clock, just like getting things done, getting things ready, making sandwiches, and then like just heading out the door and not getting back until like 8, 9,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even 10 if we had to take a detour, or our brother Yusuf got lost, or he kept his blinker on and someone was doing X, Y, and Z. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot, but yeah.
Because at this age, you all are hiking. You picked that stick up during the hike?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was always just saying, never take the stick so out of the woods, like leave it for someone else. And it was like, Brother Yusuf, this is the best stick I've ever found in my entire life.
Uh-huh.
But it was always like, leave only footsteps, take only pictures.
Yeah, yeah. Like, leave no trace.
Yeah. He was really big. He was really big on. I mean, obviously, he was really big on that because he worked for a lot of organizations, especially DEC, to be able to like kind of promote that. But leave no trace was a pretty big one, for him, because especially because of the community. Right. So we would do a lot of cleanups at Tivoli. And that was like once a year we would go and clean it up, and it was just trashed. Right. Like it was in our backyard. And a lot of people didn't know that this was a preserve. So once a year we go in and we have this like Tivoli cleanup, like pulling bikes out of the pond and like getting all the trash and like try to put mulch on the trails and stuff like that. And he really liked that project because again, it was about the community. It was making sure that, you don't have to go to the Adirondacks to be able to hike a small trail. You don't have to, go to the Catskills to like fish, to fish anywhere. You can do it right in your backyard. And it's there. It's accessible for you. So he really took a lot of pride in making that space something for everyone in that community.
What is in this photo here? I'm seeing a lot of basketball shoes. What what were you all hiking in?
Well, that's it. We were just hiking basketball shorts. I mean, it was early 2000s, so it was basketball shoes. If we got back early, we had basketball shorts under our pants, so we would go and play basketball at either at the Boys and Girls Club, because that's sometimes when we got picked up and dropped off. There's Nike, there's white ups, creases, we just whatever we found to get to from point A to point B that our parents were able to like kind of like let go and say, okay, well, these are gonna get dirty. That's what they're gonna do. Then that's what we did. I mean, as you can see, when his name is Demel, he has a hoodie. He thought it because it was cold in the morning, and so we're hiking and hiking, hiking, and you start to shed layers, and now he has like 5 layers.
Hasn't made that mistake.
But it was whatever we really could, and we could hike in. And I think that was the beauty. It was like, you don't have to necessarily get the fanciest boots or the clothing and the jeans. You just like get up and go. I mean, now I have hiking boots, I'm getting older,
Yeah.
and like good, pants and stuff like that and whatnot. But it was just the art of doing, just like getting up and doing, putting your shoes on, go.
So I know this program is through the DEC. Just shifting gears just a little bit here. Talk more about the role the DEC played in these adventures and how you come to later in your life end up working for them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest role of the DEC playing in this was that they gave us the opportunity and the access, right? So um those vans that we were able to get in had the little logo, the old logo, and we piled in and we drove, right? We were able to go from our urban jungle to a jungle, to the woods. And with that, it was always like, it was always interesting, right? Because every single time I've seen that logo, it always gave me some type of positive reaction, right? So like, when the first time I went to the DEC summer camp, I had a blast, right? The second time I went to DEC summer camp, that was in Colby, right? And I had another blast, right? It was so much fun. I was able to meet so many people. I was in a completely different part of the state. And then I went to Pack Forest. And then when I went to Pack Forest, DC also then employed a lot of the people that were working with Brother Yusuf. So I saw a lot of the people that I was friends with, and they had so much fun. So they really did give a little bit of the access to Brother Yusuf to be able to say, okay, this is something that we do want to invest in. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And and then when his untimely passing, they offered then me, they kind of like sped that process up to say, we want to continue this program because it's very beneficial. So then they offered me something to help continue that program. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, because I think that it was very important to be able to allow access to um, the outdoor spaces. So yeah.
And how did you find those early experiences working on the other side? Because you're a participant here,
Yeah.
and then you transition to be, educational leader, and now you're, a special ed teacher. So you clearly took this path, and it feels like, as you've alluded to earlier, that seed was planted during these trips here.
Yeah. I always thought that Brother Yusuf always planted the seed in a lot of us, but also specifically me, because he would have these like kind of like conversations about like kind of taking over and being like, hey, like this and this and this. I think that, and he would give me like really like other odd leadership jobs and put me in positions where I'm like, okay, I guess I can like kind of do this and move in this particular direction. It was different because I didn't know how much goes into getting it done. Like that was pretty big for me. I didn't know how much it was to getting it done. Like how many houses that he frequent to make sure that like papers were signed. Like that's a big one. It's like
Oh wow, okay.
some people, like the access that he provided was a lot more than just like, hey, I have this. It was like, I have this. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to help you sign these papers. I'm going to help you print them out. I'm going to help you do this. I'm going to help you do that. So like me going through that process was like, this is what it means. Like, this is what it means to really like do it. And it was rewarding because I got a lot of kids who and their parents being like, I would have never been able to come down to the DEC office.
Yeah.
Because of transportation or childcare or whatever. And me being able to like rent a car and say, okay, I'm going to set up a meeting with you. I'm going to meet you here, and then we're going to fill out these paperwork and we're going to do this, that. They were so grateful. And there's still some kids now, still in the program, still doing some of the DEC stuff. So understanding that like there's a lot more behind the scenes, I was even more fulfilled because I was able to be like, oh, this is what he was doing. It wasn't that he was coming around hanging out the house and like talking about his exams. He was like getting paperwork done, making sure like all the T's were that or all the I's dotted and all the T's were crossed to make sure that we're able to genuinely go to camp and get everything that possibly needed from or wanted from camp.
I want you to talk more about that because that strikes me as Brother Yusuf going an extra mile when anyone who's an adult that has dealt with administration, especially administration that comes with deadlines.
Yeah.
Sometimes a family or a kid misses the deadline, and that's one less head to worry about, so to speak, because you're taking kids into into sort of a landscaped wilderness. But as you just testified, Brother Yusuf is making the effort to include as many people as possible. That strikes me as a legacy that you carried on with you. And I'd wonder if you could talk more about what that's like to quite literally leave no child behind.
Yeah. Yeah, he lived by that phrase, especially because there were times in which I was late and we did not get to the meeting spot. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to go. And he'll be right outside honking like, hey, let's go. So he was a testament of a person that said, like, I understand that things will come up, and like you made this commitment. So time to show me what you're made of. Yeah. And we there were times when I remember one of the vivid times when we were late to check in for one of our camper ships because I was just waiting for him. We're waiting. Like, no, come on, let's go. Like I want you there. I it's important for you to be there. And he didn't want to leave any child behind. He didn't want to leave a child, not even just behind, just inside. He didn't want to leave a child inside.
Heard that.
Because he like I said, he always felt that having any type of outdoor experience was beneficial to anyone. Whether that's going to camp, like I think it's like Camp Opportunities, but Camp Thatcher, and like fishing and kayaking or going to wherever. He just didn't want to leave a child inside. And that's what he tested to that.
I'm gonna go through some of these other images. Adam did not choose the rest of these images. I will take responsibility for what you about to see. Okay. Let's see here. This Brother Yusuf, forget who shared this image with us. Tom, it might have been you who shared this image. Yeah. First of all, stylish watch, by the way. Can we get a watch check on Brother Yusuf? I know at least 3 music videos where I've seen somebody wear that watch. That's besides the point.
Brother Yusuf had a matching kufi for every outfit that he ever owned.
Yeah. So, I don't know if the Adirondack boat is in here, but we just saw you all planting trees. There's just an image of you all hiking, and here we have this portrait of Brother Yusuf with a boat or with a kayak. Talk about some of the boating that you all got an opportunity to do with Brother Yusuf, and potentially introduce the audience to how the Adirondack boat came to be.
Yeah, I think that this is the Bronx. I think we kayaked the Bronx River. I think this is the Bronx River. Yeah. That was a wild experience because we got into we got into like a bus. I think that was the bus. Yeah. We got into a bus, and um Brother Yusuf was like, all right, your kayak skills better be or your canoe skills better be on point. And we just like kayaked the Bronx River, and it and then there was times when we had to get up, pick the boat up, walk through some shallow parts, put it down, reset, and keep going. And that was pretty fun because it was just all of us on the water splashing, like having fun, like chopping it up and stuff like that. But in terms of the boating, Brother Yusuf loved kayaking. It was his calling card. He would literally put a huge orange kayak on his Ford Escape and ride around the city with it, and people knew that was BU, right?
Mhm.
And whenever he did anything, you know, if he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to this," he would always, get that kayak and set it there. Like even when we go to the Adirondacks, um, two people would be driving the vans. He would drive his own car, and then like we'd stop in this like really beautiful, serene place, and we just kind of chill. But he would be on top of his Ford Escape, pulling the kayak and launching into the water, even though we only have like 5 minutes just to kayak. And then we did a lot of that. So we learned how to kayak in a pool, actually, in the Arbor Hill Community Center first. So we learned how to kayak in the Arbor Hill Community Center first, because a lot of us, don't have pools and don't really know how to swim. So he set up a lifeguard and he set up all the other stuff. And he set up the kayaks in there. So we learned how to paddle and we learned how to do a lot of things in that pool. So then when we got out to the Bronx River or whatever, we were pretty comfortable with being on the actual water. And then we were fortunate enough to be able to build our own craft. Like we he gave us access to the boating safety test. So we got our boater's license after everything. And then we built that boat, called the Adirondack. So he loved a lot of the water sports.
So I gotta note that we're about to switch to the Q&A session. But I just want to give you the last word and tell us what Brother Yusuf means to you and what you hope people will learn from his inclusion in this to be permanent exhibition.
What Brother Yusuf means to me. Um, as cliche as it sounds, it's some person that I really look up to be a good leader, someone who I want to follow, and continue the legacy that he put forth, because I feel like the village and the community and the compassion and the love he had for the outdoors, we should all genuinely share, um, because we only have one of these things, right? We only have one earth. And if we all are able to share it in a way that um, is like equitable, we can like be happy, because that's all it really was. It was like a lot of the memories I have of him was just joy. Um, and being able to spread that to other kids. Like even when this past summer, I kind of spearheaded a little bit of a program of my own with a couple of kids, and um it was just like a small little once a week thing. But by the end of the program, they were just so happy to be outside behind their school roasting marshmallows. Like they just had so much fun. Um, and then, now kind of trying to build it, we're, trying to work with more of the DC and like get them to these camping experiences and stuff like that. You know, those experiences those kids talk about for a long time. I mean, look at me. I'm still talking about it, because
Yeah.
it was so impactful. And now being a father, it's like having those experiences allows me to be a little bit more grounded, and I want to show him like what it looks like to be grounded, look what it looks like to have those like really joyful, loving, caring, compassionate experiences with a loving, caring, compassionate community. So that's what he means to me.
That's a great thought to end on. So we're just gonna head into the Q&A portion of tonight's event. Um, the people on Zoom, you all can type your questions into the chat. Someone will get that question to me, I promise you. But for those who are here, um, please, raise your hand and we'll call on you. There appears to be a microphone. Um, my colleague Grace will come by with a microphone and allow you to ask us a question. So please, anybody.
Good evening. Thank you both for being here. Brother Yusuf was an icon. Great guy, great man. Question. Most of the times when we're in outdoor, especially in the Adirondacks, we don't find a lot of people that look like us. How did Brother Yusuf ever discuss that with you? What to expect? Like,
No. And the he didn't, because we looked like us. And that was the cool thing about it. It wasn't ever a like we noticed it, like it was there, but because we were a group and we supported everyone, and everyone supported us to be out there, it wasn't something that was I guess very obvious. When we were younger, we just were having fun, like playing manhunt and doing all that stuff. We all like us when we were out there, so it didn't really matter. Um, and then all the people that we met along the way, I don't think like it wasn't scary. There was a time in which Brother Yusuf told me to go on a camping trip for a week, an outdoors camping trip for a week, to repair a trail somewhere. And it was just me. It was just me and like people that I just didn't know. And I was fine. We hiked up this mountain or this trail along the waterline. We spent a week just fixing the trail. And there were just like all these other boys, and we would all have our tasks, getting water and see. And it just felt like I was supposed to be here because he prepared me to it, right? It wasn't about, I mean, it's important. Yes, race is 100% important. But in those moments when we were all just like around that fire, it wasn't important. It was like we looked at beauty very objectively, like, wow, this is beauty. We can all sit around and we can all laugh because we have a very similar experience about how there's dirt in our mac and cheese, right? Because someone got water from the stream, and the water from the stream trickled down, and we couldn't pick up the pieces from the actual, so we had to just boil the water, and that's what we did. So it was they called it trail spice. So and like and all these people, and they didn't look like me, and and it was there. It 100% was there. But like if I didn't know how to do something because I wasn't privy to, they helped me, and that's the cool thing about the space that we're in. A lot of people are a lot more accepting, like I can't say that all the time, but I can say that my experience, he didn't really talk about it too much. I know in some spaces when we had to go, he did talk about like, like representing yourself in a good way and stuff like that. And we when we got was kind of just like, okay, we get it. You know, we have to represent ourselves and what we're looking for, and what we're looking at and whatnot. But other than that, you know, it was always work hard, play hard, you know. So yeah, thank you.
Here we go. Oh, did you have somebody online? Okay. So Adam, Melissa Rivera says, I've been living in the city of Albany for 2.5 years and now exploring the city and all the great offerings, especially for the teens. Brother Yusuf has left an incredible legacy. Is there anything going on in the same manner he brought to the community?
Um, I don't know, only because I don't live here right now, but I'm sure I know that things are coming. Things are down, things are coming up the pipeline. I think that a lot of people are understanding that there's a need for this right now, especially of what's going on in the schools. And looking for that particular outlet of outdoors, there's something coming. I just can't tell you right now because I live in Syracuse, but I know for me that I'm trying to do it and making sure that I get it done in Syracuse. And I know that people have been talking about it in Albany.
Hi, Adam.
Hey,
It's great to see you. So my question, tonight we're talking about the Adirondacks. I just wanted to ask about the Clearwater and the Hudson River. Did you ever go on? I mean, that first time I laid eyes on Brother Yusuf, and quite possibly you, was getting on the Clearwater. So the young men at the helm. Would you just say a word or two about that, please?
Yeah. So along the lines with the boating, Brother Yusuf was working also with this other organization called the Hudson River Clearwater Sloop. Okay. And that was really cool. And it was cool because first I was a part of one of the first young men at the helm participants. You know, so in its inception, because they had a lot of young women at the helm, and then they wanted to branch out to young men at the helm. And it was really cool because we sailed up and down the Hudson River on this boat where the experience was just, it was wild because you, yeah, because it's wild. It's funny because we were just talking about it.
Cycling through some stories.
Just cycling so many through stories. Well, just cycling so many stories because again, it's about the cycle. You know, when we did the Young Men at the Helm program, we did Young Men at the Helm program, and then I went back to the Young Men at the Helm program, and I worked on the boat, and then when I was working for DEC, I was sending kids to the boat. So I wanted to make sure that we kept that kind of like partnership alive, because I think that was a really fun experience, because you're just traveling on a boat in the middle of the city. And the experience of traveling on a boat for 3 days versus traveling in the car for 3 days is just vastly different. You're on the water. You're pulling up this 3,000-pound sail. You're trawling for different types of fish in the Hudson, and you're studying them. You're studying navigation with the captain and the bosun and the engineer. And you're talking about different types of the boats. You're meeting all these people that are just tall ship sailors from around the nation, because they come because this is a very educational boat. So then being able to have the opportunity to go and do education on the boat, and then also learn a lot about being a deckhand on the boat. It was very, very fun. So I have a lot of like fun experiences on that boat. There's like this one little thing on the boat. It's called it's a weird little leaky shower, because when they swab the deck, right? When they use the brine barrier to wash the deck, some water gets into this really weird space, and there's a cup that holds a lot of water. So every single time when it fills up, the person who lives in that bunk is supposed to take it out. But sometimes it never gets emptied. So when you're up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and trying to like get over a person and you hit it, then that person gets that shower. And sometimes, you know, like whoever's on the outside or the inside or whatever just gets a shower and at 2 o'clock in the morning. But um but yeah, so being able to sail on the Clearwater and you know, reflect on your journey on the Clearwater and then being able to like work on the Clearwater is just something that I just constantly do. I did the same thing when I went to Doan Stewart. I went to Doan Stewart and then I taught at Doan Stewart. So it's kind of one of those things where I keep on going back to the places to show that I care for it, you know.
There was somebody, there's a question here. How are we doing on time?
More questions.
All right, I'll do one Zoom and then we'll go to the audience for the final question. So this person, Benita Law Jiao, she,
Yeah.
yeah, hi Benita. We all know Benita. She joined sometime after we started the program. So she asked, did you mention how Brother Yusuf was really open about his life struggles and how he shared it so readily with the kids so that they would not go down the wrong path?
I did not share, but I can a little bit from what I do know. He definitely was open about a lot of the things that was going on with his life because he wanted to make sure that he was seen as human. And I say that in the sense of Brother Yusuf did a lot of things that were really cool. Like you were like, oh, okay. And that's why we called him Be You, because he always wanted to it always like be yourself or be you, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you know, when a lot of when there's sometimes when he couldn't make it or something was happening, you know, he'd always follow up with us and say, hey, this is what's going on, this is happening, you know, I just want to be like this. So I do know that he was very open about like his PTSD. Anything else, I don't necessarily know, but he definitely was open about his PTSD. Because there are some times in which like he would talk about like we went motorbiking and some of the motorbikes like had like pops, like gunshot pops. And you know, and I remember this because my older brother was at this camp at the time. And you know, he got really like frightened and aggressive at one moment when we were at the campfire because he was just like trying to figure out where it was coming from and making sure everyone was safe. And then, you know, kind of he took a walk and he walked away for a little while to kind of calm his head. And he came back and was like, hey, you know, sorry guys. Not as eloquent as this, but he was like, you know, he wanted to sit us down and talk about like some of the experiences that he had at Vietnam and stuff like that, because that was, I mean, we never knew what war looked like, right? So having him tell his stories about him like going through these jungles and like trying to figure out who he was at 18 years old as we were, it was pretty profound, you know, like just seeing the stuff that he did in that war. It was pretty profound at like a very young age, you know. Thank you for that question. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Sherry has chimed in. She says,
Sherry.
thank you. Yes, hi, Sherry. She says, thank you, Adam and Clark, for this presentation. My family appreciates everything you are representing on behalf of my husband's legacy. Much love, Sherry and son. So thank you all. Is there time for one final?
Hi, Anne.
There we go.
Your career exploration. So it wasn't always just getting out and going to, you know, Ohio.
Yeah.
Have to, Albany Environmental Science Forestry.
Right.
Work, that's just,
Yeah, yeah. And to your earlier point, I think that's when we started to see a little bit more because we also recognized that there was not a lot of black faces in green spaces. So to come back full circle, it was like he always wanted to make sure that there was a space for us, and show us that there are spaces out there that are not the no that not that are not normally like advocated for us. So we went to a lot. We went to a lot of the career fairs because a lot of the kids that were a little bit older needed to look for jobs. So they were looking at jobs at the DEC. So when we went to Pack Forest, I saw my friend Rayshawn, working at the DEC. So having that particular access. Going to the ESF, we did a lot of trips to ESF, ESF, with their paper pulp industry.
And ESF for people who don't know out there.
The College of Environmental Science and Forestry. And we talked a lot about career paths. In the DEC, a lot of people talked a little bit about the ECOs and the rangers and stuff like that. So just making sure that there were a little bit more more black faces in green spaces. That's what he wanted to advocate. So the career exploration was, if you learn how to love nature, you're able to learn how to protect it. And that's what he wanted to kind of put in our minds of, I'm showing you what this, and we're having fun and all the other stuff, but there's also the other side, the conservation side, and we did a lot of going to talks and going to different places to make sure that other kids saw us outside. And then he also gave us the ability to look for jobs in those spaces as well. So I was able to do that with DEC, and whatnot.
Adam, I want to thank you for sharing your stories and being with us. We'll give Adam a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate all the support, and everyone online. Thank you for signing in and asking questions and whatnot. Thank you for everyone who I haven't seen in a while. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
All right. So you want to say a last word, or
Thank you all for coming to Albany Public Library for Adirondack Experience.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
I feel like you gave us insight into a really spectacular and just amazing man who all of you who knew him are helping him live on. So thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
You did great.
Yes.
Yeah.